Hey friends, I'm Will and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to tell you 4 of the biggest mistakes all beginner leather workers make. So let's get started. This is Pete, by the way. Mistake number 1 is fully gluing your lining. Now, when you're making a project, exterior is leather, gluing your lining to it, the biggest mistake you can make is gluing the entire thing down, or otherwise known as laminating. And there are 3 major reasons we don't fully laminate our lining leather down. Number 1 is it makes it too stiff. If you're fully laminating, that's a tongue twister and a half. If you're fully laminating your leather lining, you end up creating this rather stiff piece. This rather stiff piece in which you've got your exterior and your interior are stuck together. And this leads to a really rigid piece. Now there are circumstances in which you want it to be nice and rigid. Those you will know if you're doing this because you know you want it to be stiff. You get a much stronger, firmer hand to your piece if you fully glue it down. Now if you only glue around the exterior and then you shape it, if you glue over a curve for instance, when you're gluing like a wallet outer shell and the lining to it, you glue it over a curve because it's going to stay in that shape. Second reason you don't want to fully laminate your leather lining is because it shows any imperfections. So if you've got a rivet on the outside, or you've put some reinforcement tape, or you're using an alligator skin for instance, you're going to see all of the workings and goings on and mechanics of the piece you've made on the inside through the lining because it's stuck to everything in there. The third reason you don't want to fully laminate your leather lining, fully gluing it down to the exterior piece, is because it's really easy to trap and not get rid of air bubbles. So imagine it, you've put glue down, you put the exterior piece on, and now you don't want to roll it on. You don't want it to sort of roll on like that because you'll end up getting a curve in the exterior piece. So if you just put it down flat and you're not really careful about pushing out from the inside of the piece, you will end up trapping bubbles, and you will see those. And the only way to get rid of it either is to pull it off, which with contact adhesive is super hard, or you'll need to put a needle into it and you'll need to decompress that bubble. Now you may not mind, but you will end up with a hole, and that hole will slowly open because yes, you can close it with white glue, but it may still slowly open. The second biggest mistake all beginner leather workers make is using a metal ruler. Now this is going to sound really stupid and really bizarre, and you're going to think, well, what in the actual fuck are you talking about? Of course I'm going to use a metal ruler. No, you don't want to use a metal ruler, and I'm going to tell you why. You want to use a plastic ruler, just like this one. It's completely clear, so it'll be difficult to see, but I'll put some B-roll of it up here now. Metal rulers scratch leather. The majority of you guys are probably using vegetable tan leather, which scratches really easily due to there being an aniline finish, so it's not sprayed with anything. It's not sprayed with like a lacquer, for instance. When you're using a plastic ruler, because it's a softer substance, it's a softer material, it's harder to scratch your leather. One of the tricks you can do with any ruler is you can put a knife up to your pattern and then slide the ruler up to it so you get a perfectly straight line. And if you slide a metal ruler across your leather, you will scratch it, I promise you. And we don't want to scratch it, we want it to look beautiful from the minute you make it to the minute your customer gets it. They can do whatever they can do with it, whatever they like. It's their piece, but we want it to leave our workshop beautiful. Don't use a metal ruler. I don't even have one. Yes, I do. Don't use a metal ruler. I have one because I bought it when I was starting, and it was one of the biggest mistakes I've made because I've scratched so many pieces in my career. It's ridiculous. Get yourself a plastic ruler. The third mistake all beginner leather workers make is using a dull knife. Now you may think, oh, my knife is sharp. It's probably not, let's be honest. If leather is a really, really fibrous material, and therefore it's very easy to dull your blade. You might need to stop your knife every few cuts. The easiest way to tell if your knife is sharp and sharp enough to work with leather is it will be near silent. So if you're pulling your leather through your piece and it's making sound, it's not sharp enough. A sharp knife is nigh on silent. Now, the first reason using a dull knife is a massive mistake is it is dangerous. You'll have to use multiple pulls through your piece. You'll have to pull it through and then pull it through again because it doesn't go all the way through because it's not sharp enough. And in that process, you can slip and you can amputate your finger. You can cut your finger off. And the worst thing about that is you ruin your piece. Your finger's near. You can ruin your piece. The second reason actually leads on from the first mistake. Along with it slipping into your finger, when you pull it through once and then pull it through again, your pattern can shift. Only by maybe a millimeter or two, but that's enough for your pattern not to work. So if you're using a dull knife and you're having to pull it through lots of times, it's very easy for your pattern to move, which we don't want to do. Last reason that using a dull knife is a huge mistake for beginner leather workers, it leaves a really rough edge when you're finished, and this makes your finishing process so much longer because you're sanding for decades trying to get it nice and smooth, ready for edge finishing, which we want to make as simple as possible because we want to spend as least amount of time on edge finishing as possible. If you're like the majority of leather workers, you probably don't like edge finishing. I love it, you may not like it, and using a dull knife will make your edge finishing process longer by leaving a really raggedy edge. The third and last biggest mistake all beginner leather workers make is over gluing or not letting their contact adhesive fully dry when you're gluing your piece together. Now, it may seem counterproductive or counterintuitive when you're starting out leather work to let it essentially feel dry. It will feel a little bit tacky, but it will probably feel mostly dry when you're using a contact adhesive which you put on both sides and then put together. Obviously, you may think to yourself, oh, it's dry enough. It probably isn't. The way that most glues let you know that they are fully dry and ready to be stuck together is they go clear. They become not sticky anymore. They become just a little bit tacky in the finger, but they're not wet. If you overglue your piece, it will result in lots of squeeze out when you put it together, especially if you don't let it dry fully before you put them together. And this means that you'll have little tags of glue along the edge, which will make finishing really, really hard, because if you try and pull those tags out, you'll pull the glue out because there's too much of it, so it will pull the glue out, and therefore the edge won't be very nice at all. If you're over gluing or not letting your glue dry fully, it will slow down the entire process because you'll put it on. Normally glue should only take a couple of minutes. If you're using a water-based adhesive, it should only take a couple of minutes for it to fully set so you can use it and it become how you need it to be in order to use it properly. Now if you're using too much glue, it will take too long to dry and your creative flow and your creative juices will evaporate and you will no longer be able to concentrate on what you're doing. It'll be harder to concentrate on what you're doing. Your ideas will go away and you'll be thinking, oh, where was I? I'm not quite sure. Don't overglue your stuff. It takes too long to dry. So that does it for the biggest mistakes all beginner leather workers make. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and leave a comment down below. What would you like to learn? This channel is as much yours as it is mine, and I can't wait to see you next time. Have a fantastic week or weekend whenever it is you're seeing this. I'll see you soon. Take care.